On Iran, Mr. President, just to be clear, I mean, what's next? Is the threat of the bombing starting again? How realistic is that?
I don't want to say that. I mean, I'd like to tell you. I'd like to say on a certain hour, a certain day, the bombing is going to start. I don't want to say that. I can only say that Iran, I can say this with very, very strong conviction, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Not going to happen. No chance.
What would the use be of repeating the bombing? You did it for 38 days.
Well, no, we did.
And you did not get the political changes in Iran.
No, I had a total military victory. But the fake news, guys like you write incorrectly. You're a fake guy, and guys like you write about it incorrectly. We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out all of their anti-aircraft weaponry. We knocked out all of their radar. We knocked out all of their leaders, number one, and then we knocked out all of their leaders in the 2nd Division, and we knocked out numerous of their leaders in the 3rd Division, and they're very confused. We've had a total victory, except by people like you that don't write the truth. You know, you should write. I actually think it's sort of treasonous what you write, but you and the New York Times and CNN, I would say, are the worst.
On another war.
You should know better, David. You know, you're a professor. You know better. Your editors tell you what to write, and you write it. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Another war. Is there any?
I actually think it's treason when you write like they're doing well militarily and they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-anything. By the way, we knocked out 85% of their manufacturing for the missiles. We knocked out everything. We haven't knocked out other than one bridge that we did because they misbehaved. But we have bridges we could knock out. We could knock out their bridges and their electrical capacity within 2 days. We could knock out the whole thing. And then I read the New York Times and they act like they're doing well. And everybody knows it. That's why your subscribers are way down. You know, the Times subscribers are way down because it's fake news.
Did you discuss Ukraine?
Way down, way down.
Did you discuss Ukraine at all with President Xi? And is there any movement on that?
I did. We discussed, well, it's one that we'd like to see settled. Until last night, it was looking good, but they took a big hit last night.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen, but it's a shame. 25,000 people died last month. Yeah.
Admiral Cooper of CENTCOM was asked yesterday about the strike on the girls' school on the first day of the war.
Oh, it's under investigation. You're talking about the original.
Yeah, it was the only case of investigation at the moment into civilian casualties.
I think we have a couple of things under investigation, but that is under investigation.
Are you able to confirm yet that it was a US missile?
Who are you with?
BBC for the radio.
Fake BBC. You mean the ones that put AI in my mouth? The ones that gave me, that had me saying a statement that they now admit was not true? That the ones that put terrible words in my mouth and then had to admit that it was fake? The ones that are being sued now for $5 billion and don't know what to do? You're with BBC? They're another fake outfit. Yeah.
About the deals in China, did you get a deal on soybeans? You know, the farmers.
I did. The farmers are going to be very happy. They're going to be buying billions of dollars of soybeans. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Britain, but Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister there, is in a lot of trouble. I know you were asked about this.
Well, he's in trouble for 2 reasons: energy and immigration. He's very bad on energy. He should open up the North Sea. He's got a coal mine, and he should open up oil in the North Sea, and he doesn't. They have a tremendous value. You know, they buy their oil, a lot of it, from Norway. Norway gets it from the North Sea. Not as good an area as Scotland and the UK has. So they're paying Norway a fortune for oil that they take out of the North Sea.
Do you think Starmer's going to survive as Prime Minister?
It's a tough thing, unless he can straighten out immigration where he's weak. And if he doesn't start drilling and stop with the windmills all over the place that are causing havoc. They're causing havoc. Most expensive form of energy. They kill the birds. They're unsightly. They're ruining the landscape. If he doesn't stop with the windmills, he's got to do energy. He's got to open up the North Sea. You know, he's got one of the greatest oil finds anywhere in the world, and he's not using it. And I tell him that. He's not using it.
Should he quit?
The oil companies call me every day. Please, please, we want to go to the North Sea. He doesn't allow it to happen.
Should he quit?
I don't say that. I think he's a nice man, actually. But, I mean, I didn't like when he said, we're going to send ships as soon as you're finished with the war, as soon as you... Well, we're sort of finished militarily, pretty much. But we, David, we finished probably 70-75%. We didn't finish every one of the things. We go back and finish them off. And by the way, and more than that.
You saw the reporting on the missile capability, missile launchers that have remained. Does that seem accurate to you?
No, it's New York Times fake news. The missile launches are probably 80% gone. The New York Times said it's like we were hitting them like pinatas. The missile launches are largely gone. The manufacturing of missiles is about 80%, 80 to 85% gone. And we know where the rest of it. So if we go in, we'll take that out very early.
The intelligence reports seem to indicate, though,
there are no intelligence reports. Not for they weren't intelligence reports. They were New York Times fake news.
Sir, would you consider lifting the sanctions on Chinese oil companies that buy Iranian oil?
Well, we talked about that, and I'm going to make a decision over the next few days. We did talk about that.
Do you think Xi felt stronger in his dealings with you than he did the last time that you
great
went to
relationship
China?
last time until COVID came along? I blamed them for that. I said it was Wuhan, and I was right. And look, that was a strain on everybody, COVID, and so it affected our relationship at the time. But we always had a great relationship before that and after that, and now it's as strong as ever. I mean, I went over to where he lives, which is something that rarely happens. Were you there? I don't know.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's amazing. I mean, people have never seen it before. It's amazing, actually. We had lunch. We have a great understanding.
You don't think he feels
it's a very positive thing to have these two nations getting along.
Mr. President, on Taiwan again, you said you were going to check with the president of Taiwan. But the 1982 assurances that President Reagan gave said the United States would not consult with China on arms sales to Taiwan. So it sounds to me like you have consulted
well,
with
I
China.
think 1982 is a long way.
It was?
That's a big far distance
You
away.
dispensed with them?
No, I didn't say anything about it. But certainly, he brought that up. He talked about that to me, obviously. So what am I going to do? Say I don't want to talk to you about it? Because I have an agreement that was signed in 1982. No, we discussed arms sales too.
And what's his request?
We discussed to Taiwan, the whole thing with the arms sales was in great detail, actually. And I'll be making decisions.
What was his request?
But, I think the last thing we need right now is a war that's 9,500 miles away. I think that's the last thing we need. We're doing very well.
Would the US defend Taiwan if it came to it?
I don't want to say it. I'm not going to say that. There's only one person that knows that. You know who it is? Me. I'm the only person. That question was asked to me today by President Xi. I said, I don't talk about those.
He asked you today.
He asked you if you would send troops, if you would
He asked me if I defend them. I said, I don't talk about that.
You told him that.
I don't talk
Did you
about
talk to him about the cyber attacks that he's done in the United States or the MSS has done?
I did, and he talked about attacks that we did in China. What they do, we do too. It's like the spying. They're talking about, the spying. I said, well,
The spying
we do it
or
too.
the infrastructure?
Look, no, I'm talking about spying.
But
The question was asked to me yesterday, I guess. What about the fact that China's spying in the United States? I said, well, it's one of those things because we spy like hell on them too. So,
what about the fact that China is putting in the U.S. infrastructure code that they could use if you ever decided to come to the
well,
end?
you don't know that. I mean, I'd like to see it, but it's very possible that they do. And we're doing things to them. I told them we do a lot of stuff to you that you don't know about, and you're doing things to us that we probably do know about. But we do plenty. It's a double-edged sword.
So again, on President Xi, a couple of years ago when President Biden met him in San Francisco, he was asked if he thought President Xi was a dictator. Do you think President Xi is a dictator?
No, but I think that President Biden was an incompetent president. He gave us the Iran nuclear deal, which allowed Iran to have a nuclear weapon within a matter of years from the time they said, I terminated it. If I didn't terminate that, Iran would have a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it within probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. If I didn't go in with the B-2 bombers 9 months ago, Iran would have a nuclear weapon, and nobody would be able to talk to them. By the way, they would have used it already.
But do you think President Xi is a dictator or not?
I don't think about it. He's the ruler. He's the president of China. I don't think about it.
said they would have had
You deal with what you have. I respect him. He's very smart. He loves his country. I respect him. Whether he's a dictator, that's for you to figure out. Yeah.
So, Mr. President,